What it is it's like a fake ending. I think they had a word I don't know if they call it deceptive cadence, maybe is what they call it. But it's a fake ending. Basically what happens, and Bach did it, Mozart did it. There's a Bach tune I was teaching, or a Mozart tune I was teaching a kid the other day. Kind of a talented kid. And I'll show you what I mean in that. This is a tune that Mozart wrote when he was 8 on tour. Yeah, yeah. So the basic melody is like this. Cool. That's kind of how the melody starts. Now, the left hand, the bass. Check this out. This is what we were talking about before when I was talking about the. Remember how I'll just show you when you hear it. You'll know it. So you've got this. Right, and we hear this. You would expect this. And that's like the vanilla. Like when you're doing these species, first species, second species, that's the kind of thing that's against the rule at first. That's what you'd expect, right? And what Mozart did in this is not new. Bach did this all the time, but where he'd save that resolve. So you had the major 7, but this essentially is a chord. You got a C or an F chord, like this. But how does that end? With roots and a fifth. The perfect consonances. No thirds. Right? And this note in the melody is the root. So it ends like in accordance to those species exercises that we talked about, yeah? So that, and then what Mozart has here is the major 7. Which the 7th is not considered a chord tone. For them, it's considered a leading tone. An example would be like nowadays you'd maybe end on an F chord with a third, right? So you'd be like, and if you had the 7th, you'd have an F major 7 chord. And that's like what you'd expect in jazz. But that doesn't really honestly sound resolved. In the sense, it sounds resolved to us because we hear jazz all the time. And this is old harmony. Even the new harmony is old harmony to us. So we go, oh yeah, I love that sound. That's a nice sound. Like we just look at moments independently. And our tolerance for dissonance is, I don't know what you call it, we have higher tolerance for it. But as a matter of fact, it's less consonant. Like when you measure the acoustics and the vibrations and the rapidness of the vibrations, the tension within it, it is less consonant. We're just okay with less consonants. But it is less consonant. So what they did is they play and that major 7th, which is not a chord tone, is considered a leading tone. Cool? Okay, now back to what I was talking about was like at the very end, he does this. Let me see here. And that's a fake ending. What we expect is just the same thing as before. But instead what he does is this. But now your low note is instead of an F, your low note is a D. And F is the 1 chord, which means that the D is the 6th chord. So he didn't really end, but like when you're expecting the 1 chord and you got the 6 minor, he went to the relative minor. And you don't feel like the song could end there. Yeah, it's the same. Randy Newman does it all the time. Like he'll have this progression that goes like you hear this. Which is a 2-5-1, so that's not really the example. But the example is this. Ray Newman does that all the time. It's like a little trick he does. He goes 2. Really, he's going 4-5-1, 1-5-4 type stuff. but just as an example, 2, 5, and then you're expecting 1 and you get minor, 6. And that's not what you end the song. What do? You do it again, and you end it right. You know? And then Newman always puts the 9 on that 6 chord. Because this, really dissonant, heavy metal. And then he resolves it. And then he'll do the progression again where he actually ends. And that's exactly what Mozart does here. He's got this. And then he just goes back up. And just does it again when the left hand actually ends in the bass, right? I think there's a Bach tune that does this too. Let me see. It's all sequences. There's like a lot of little moments at the end. And you could think that's an ending. So it's like there's like a few sort of fake endings in that, as far as I can tell, but it happens so quick that you never feel like, oh, here comes my resolution, and oh, you withheld it, and then instead it's like, oh, whoa, and you're just riding this wave because it's going by so fast. But